Welcome to Temple Update. I'm Gazelle Afshari.
And I'm Monica Trainer.
Girard College President Howard B. Maxwell has been forced out by the school's board of directors. School officials announced that they are abolishing the president's post for financial reasons. The board has placed Maxwell on sabbatical and will permit him to live on the school's president's house for the remainder of the year. Girard's education director, Joseph Devlin, has been named the interim head of the school.
LaSalle University has just been awarded 2 grants worth $80,000 for this academic year. Most of the financial grants will be given to 35 needy students in good academic standing. The grants were given to the university by W.W. Smith Charitable Trust. The trust is offering 2 LaSalle undergrads $5,000 scholarships. The recipients are selected on the basis of academic distinction, personal character, and leadership. The month before an election draws many candidates running for political offices to area college campuses. Recently, Lynn Yackel made her debut at Temple. Update's Michelle Baum explains.
The November 3rd election is just around the corner, and political candidates are making their way to many area college campuses. Democratic senatorial nominee Lynn Yackel recently visited Temple and took the opportunity to urge political awareness and participation among college students. Yackel told the crowd of cheering students that employment and education are the main issues of concern. Yackel also supports Clinton's proposed National Service Trust for equal accessibility to higher education. The plan would allow anyone with high grades to go on to college. Through strong voter participation, Yackel believes a change in government can be found.
I see the momentum everywhere I go. I mean, it's just clear that all over the state, people are paying attention and they understand what the issues are.
After the rally, students took part in an informal discussion with the candidate, raising concerns about such issues as health care and employment.
I'm finding a resurgence of interest on the part of young people all over Pennsylvania who understand that this is a critically important year. We cannot take these things for granted. We've got to change the kind of leadership we have in this country, and we have an opportunity to do it.
Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Michelle Baum.
A federal appeals court has upheld a ruling allowing Virginia Military Institute to keep its all-male admission policy. But the state has ordered a similar offer being offered to women. The 3-judge panel says the institute's ban on women is justified by an institutional mission which favors neither sex. However, the panel also said the state must ensure that women have equal access to military training by admitting women to VMI, or similar schools set up elsewhere. VMI and Citadel College are the nation's only all-male state-supported schools.
Despite protests, Citadel College has announced that they will continue to play Dixie as their fight song and wave the Confederate flag during sporting events. It has been recommended that the school suspend their practices because they can be offensive to blacks. President of Citadel College, Claudius Watts, says the school must strike a balance between our heritage and our present culture.
A new policy on parking stickers have left commuters frustrated. Update's Katrina Nichols reports on Temple's parking woes.
Long lines for Temple's main campus parking lots has become commonplace this semester. Many areas fill up early each morning. Faculty and students complain that late-day parking has become difficult and time-consuming. Parking Director James Cirillo says the answer to this problem is education.
So there is available parking on the campus. It's just a matter of students getting educated as to what times the areas tend to become filled to capacity, so that they know any given time during the course of the day what their best chances are of entering a particular parking area.
Although many of Temple's prime parking spaces are filled early, the main campus boasts over 3,000 spots within its many secured lots. Cirillo also suggests students take advantage of little-used parking areas, such as lot number 5 at 11th and Diamond Streets.
What happens then is you still have a number of students early in the morning, just after 9, trying to enter the parking area, and they find out that it's filled to capacity and have to be redirected to an overflow area. As we progress into the semester, that should change somewhat. You're going to find more students who are carpooling, who are choosing alternate means of transportation, who will opt to park in overflow area.
Common sense and a lot of patience seem to be the only solutions offered in this parking dilemma. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Katrina Nichols.
The American College Testing Program reports that nearly half of 1992's high school graduates are unprepared for college-level work. Researchers claim that for academic success, all students must be properly motivated to complete a core program that includes math, English, social studies, and the natural sciences.
Yet another U.S. college is jumping on the politically correct bandwagon. Nebraska's Wesleyan University is considering the term freshman as sexist and will now refer to first-year students at the university as first-year students. The term sophomore will remain for second-year students, despite the fact that sophomore is derived from the Greek, meaning wise and foolish. Temple University has always prided itself on being multicultural. A new group has recently added themselves to this list. Update Steve Palacio reports.
These were the sights and sounds of the Fiesta Latina, held at the Student Activity Center recently. The event was held during Latino Heritage Week at Temple University. The Hispanic Student Organization spearheaded the festivities with the support of the Hispanic community surrounding Temple's campus. This group, which was formed a year ago, has a simple goal of having pride in their culture and sharing it with others. Anthony Rocco, a senior RTF major and president of the organization, wants to help other Hispanics fit into the college scene.
We represent a group that is there to support each other, support fellow Latinos, and is also a social group where Latinos can come together on common ground and, just enjoy our culture.
The members of the organization have recently started tutoring programs for local students. Some students participated in the festival to learn about and enjoy a different culture. Floyd Lebron, a junior engineering major at Temple, explained that the group helps out students with a family feel.
I think when they have a family, almost like a family atmosphere where they know their language and know where they come from, I think it's a lot easier transition from high school to college.
The group says it has accomplished a lot in the last year. They doubled their membership, including members of different races and nationalities, started their own newsletter entitled Que Pasa, and with their tutoring program for local schools in effect, they seem to be getting stronger. The Hispanic Student Organization shows pride in its culture and wants to share it with others. And at a time of racism and hatred in America and in our own city of Philadelphia, they show promise of another way. For Temple Update, I'm Steve Palacio.
College students looking for an animal house won't find it at the wellness halls of the University of Idaho. 2 dorms on the Moscow campus are set aside for clean living. There's no drinking, no smoking, and quiet hours in effect 24 hours a day. Students at the University of Idaho say today's college students are more concerned about their physical and emotional well-beings than their predecessors.
Why is the Pennsylvania Lottery a real winner? Because of its new ticket. That's right, the Pennsylvania Lottery is now using recycled paper. Since 12 billion lottery tickets are sold a year, that means over 60,000 trees are being saved. Although Canada and Czechoslovakia had the idea first, Pennsylvania also uses a recyclable, heat-sensitive ink that makes counterfeits easily identifiable. Economical and ecological, a winning combination. And now with a few stories on Philadelphia's Update Steve McGrath. Steve, it's business as usual in Philadelphia, but it doesn't look like we make the grade.
Well, that's according to one magazine only. For in a survey released by Fortune magazine, the best U.S. city for business is none other than Seattle. Although Philadelphia did not make the list, the study did uncover some of its commercial strong points. Philly contains many globally competitive industries such as pharmaceuticals and telecommunications, and also has the fastest ship-to-truck turnaround. Compared to New York City, the city of brotherly love is less expensive and has a higher-ranked education system. And as tough times continue to affect our city, One magazine has taken time to celebrate the best of what Philadelphia has to offer. Updates Dennis Spence reports.
Over 2,000 guests descended upon the New Jersey State Aquarium recently to honor the best of Philadelphia. Philadelphia Magazine hosted their 19th annual party to celebrate the city of brotherly love while raising over $50,000 for the aquarium. Business owners believe the Philly Best issue is an opportunity to show off their products, but they're not the only ones that get excited about this edition.
Well, it's our biggest seller every year, by far. I mean, I think it's the issue that people really wait for. They eagerly anticipate it. We get calls the week before the magazine's coming out. Where is it? When's it coming out? Where can I get it? And I think it's our biggest tradition.
While not all award winners are originally from the city, they have come to be recognized as some of Philly's finest.
Not actually. I grew up in upstate Pennsylvania, but I came to Philadelphia to go to Temple, and I've been here since then. I worked in radio for a few years and then went to 29 from there. So I've been here for 10 years, and it's like home to me now.
Partygoers were able to taste the winning recipes and put in a word for their favorites.
Desserts, cheesecake, cookies, yum-yums.
Steak sandwiches. Same with me. I like the roast beef. You guys are wrong about the steak.
Scallops prepared by the Ritz-Carlton.
Celebration and fun aside, we asked the 1992 award winners how they feel that this award will affect their business.
We're very excited about the name recognition that this will generate in the Philadelphia area.
Hopefully it'll increase the business through the promotion being here.
Narrowing each field down to one winner was a difficult task for co-editor Ronnie Polineski, but one she would gladly undertake again.
We had, I'd say, thousands of nominations for all different things. It was really hard to narrow it down. And it was also a whole lot of fun. There's an awful lot of people doing really good work and creating good things, not only food, but also, who are running shops and public servants who are doing a good job. So I think we really see it just as sort of a celebration of what we think is, these are the best things.
Narrowing the field next year should be just as difficult as the magazine prepares for their 20th anniversary of the Best of Philly. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Dennis Spence.
And for all you Mummer fans, there is good news. The Mummers are back where they belong, on Philadelphia TV. The 1993 Mummers Parade will air on KYW this year and for the next 5 years. This is part of a deal struck between the station and Lens Fest. They're the owners of the New Year's Day telecast. Last year marked the first time in 5 years that the parade was not shown on KYW. Lens Fest will still produce the show using mostly KYW on-air talent, dividing advertising revenue with the Mummers. Monica, last year during the Mummers Parade, there was a dark cloud around it, whether people were going to see it on TV or whether they weren't. Well, this year they can rest assured that they were marching down Broad Street and everybody will see it.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks.
Good. Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Stay tuned. There's still more ahead on this edition of Temple Update.
Coming up next on Temple Update, it was a rude homecoming for the Owls football team. And the curtain rises on another season of Temple Theater when Temple Update continues.
What do you really give when you give blood?
Another summer. Another dance.
How you doing?
Another song. Another hug.
Good game, man. Don't worry about it.
Another moment.
When you give blood, you give another chance.
And now returning to sports with Dennis Spence. Dennis, I hear that the basketball team has a pretty rough schedule this year.
Well, John Chaney feels that the stiff competition will improve his team this season. The Temple men's basketball schedule was released recently, with the Owls once again playing some of the best teams in college basketball. Temple will officially tip things off at Boston College on December 8th and will close out the regular season at home against Rutgers on March 4th. In between, Temple will play a full slate of Atlantic 10 and Big 5 games and will also take on such perennial powerhouses as Memphis State, Wake Forest, Tulane, and Cincinnati. Temple's first game at McGonigal Hall will not be until January 3rd against St. Joseph's. Temple's football team played a spirited game against cross-state rival Pittsburgh recently, but came up a bit short. Update's John Blanda has the story.
Temple Owls took on the Pitt Panthers in their homecoming game at the Vet. The team came out fired up, but eventually succumbed to the Panthers 27-20. After falling behind 7-0, Chris Palsak hit Wilbur Washington to tie the score at 7. Late in the first half, the Owls suffered a tough blow as Palsak went down with a bruised elbow. Luke Linhart replaced Palsak and orchestrated 3 scoring drives. Linhart hit Lou Lawhorn with a 51-yard bomb to cut the lead to 2017. With 1:38 left, sophomore Rick Maston tied the score with a 32-yard field goal. However, Alex Van Pelt led the Panthers on a spectacular 2-minute drive to lead Pitt to a 27-20 win.
I'm proud of the fact that we were down 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and here's a team that's 1-4, struggling and on both sides of the football, fights back from a 20-10 deficit, and gives ourselves a chance to win, at least tie the game, to win the football game in the end. So I'm proud of the kids' effort overall. Very disappointed in the results.
During the game, Van Pelt surpassed a 10,000-yard career mark for passing. He gave credit to all the players he played with over the years.
played with a bunch of senior offensive linemen that protected me better than anybody, and you know, Henry Tootin and Reggie Williams and receivers, Atlanta Truitt. I mean, there's been a lot of guys over the last 4 years that have done a lot for me to get to that landmark.
Won't get easier for the Owls as they next play the 11th-ranked Syracuse Orangemen. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm John Blanda.
The men's soccer team is looking to turn a 2-game losing streak around as they prepare for the Atlantic 10 tournament. Helping matters is that their final 2 conference games are in the friendly confines of Temple Stadium against St. Joseph's and West Virginia. Senior goalkeeper Pat Kivlin is closing in on the incredible milestone of 5,000 minutes played in his career. Earlier this season, Kivlin set the Temple record for saves in one game with 18. During halftime, the ladies received rings and watches to celebrate last season's national championship. In May, the team beat Penn State to win the 1992 NCAA fencing title. This year's squad is also expected to be nationally ranked. The women's soccer team continued its hot streak with a recent victory over Bucknell and a shutout over the University of Rhode Island. The Owls finished the week with a scoreless tie at St. John's. Leading the recent string of successes was freshman goalkeeper Julie McCaffrey, who increased her season total of shutouts to 6 and is now allowing less than 1 goal per game. The Owls head to the Sunshine State to play 2 games before they come home to play a Halloween doubleheader with the men's team against George Washington. After a slow start, the Temple women's volleyball team is starting to come together. Update Steve Palacio reports.
The Temple University women's volleyball team has not had much success over the years. They've been at best a middle-of-the-pack team in the Atlantic 10 Conference. But third-year coach Jackie Nunez has the team on the right track. Last year, the team went on to the conference semifinals, their best finish ever. This year, the team has gotten off to a slow start, and Nunez believes it has to do with a lack of players.
We don't have a lot of depth. We have 9 active players, which doesn't give us very much flexibility in terms of making substitutions when we have an athlete on the floor that's not performing well. I would see that as being a big part of perhaps why we haven't been able to pull out some of these matches that we have. We just don't have the depth.
The team may be lacking in numbers, but not in talent. Senior captain Leslie Brandt is one of the veterans of this young squad. She thinks this team is one of the best she has ever played on.
I see this year as probably our most competitive team. We play a lot harder schedule this year, and player for player, we're probably better than any of the teams I've been on here at Temple.
Even with the slow start, the season is far from over. Sophomore sensation Kathleen Harrigan leads the team in kills and digs. She says the confidence level of the team is high.
Well, I think that we are real competitive, and we have a lot of intensity, and we've had a really tough schedule so far, so conference is looking really good because our level of play is so high right now that we could conquer any team from what it seems, that we could play with anybody.
Although the record may not show it, this enthusiastic and determined team is ready to make their mark on the Atlantic 10. For Temple Update, I'm Steve Palacio.
In a recent exhibition game, former Temple Owl Tim Perry scored 30 points for the 76ers. I bet you did not know that.
No, Dennis, I didn't. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dennis.
Need money to continue your schooling? There may be a scholarship for you. There's one if you promise not to participate in a government coup. There's another if you're good at pantomime. The National Scholarship Research Service in San Rosa, California, says 5% of student awards are unusual in nature. A few of these can be found right here in Pennsylvania. At Juniata College, there's a scholarship for left-handed upperclassmen, and at Penn, students who give up smoking and drinking are eligible for cash prizes. Last weekend was homecoming at Temple. During the halftime of the Temple Panthers game, alumni band members joined Temple's band on the field, and the 1967 football team was introduced. But the big event was the crowning of this year's homecoming queen and the big man on campus. This year's queen was Stacy Peronine, and the 1992 big man on campus is Larry Brown.
Students at West Virginia's Shepherd College are gearing up for a taste of the acting world. Actor David Shelby, best known for playing Richard Channing on television's Falcon Crest, will conduct seminars at Shepherd next year. Shelby, a native West Virginian, will also serve as executive director of Shepherd's Theater Festival.
The king of rock and roll won't be the only one to have his own stamp. Elvis Presley will be joined by other rock and rollers, R&B stars, country singers, and Broadway musicals in getting new postage stamps next year. The stamp of the young Elvis, which won the national vote, will be released January 8th, the king's birthday. It will also be a part of a stamp booklet, which will include names like Bill Haley, Buddy Holly, and Richie Valens. Musicals Oklahoma, Showboat, and My Fair Lady will also be in the booklet, which is expected to appear sometime next summer. The Harlem Renaissance and the 1960s launched a flow of African-American poets into American mainstream. Since then, the voice of African-American poetry has all but disappeared from popular culture. Meanwhile, rap music has become a thriving force. Two Temple poets are challenging the current myth that rap is the sole art form thriving in the African-American community. With a look inside is Update's Angela Johnson.
Poets Wadud Ahmed and Temple graduate Major Jackson are part of an emerging younger generation of African-American poets. Wadud is currently a Temple student. Major, a recent Temple graduate, works at the Painted Bride Cultural Arts Center in Philadelphia. In November of 1991, Ahmed and Jackson published their first poetry book entitled Back to Africa with the White Woman. The publishing process was an uphill battle. First, Ahmed and Jackson had to self-publish the book. And second, in the beginning, the book's controversial title, Back to Africa with the White Woman, was not warmly embraced by the public, many of whom were under the misconception it was a how-to book.
And it was amazing how a lot of folk, before they had even read anything, just from the title, were just, totally turned off. Wow, Back to Africa, white women, all them guys are sellouts, without having, any knowledge of the book or, any knowledge of what the book was about, And we found that to be sad, quite frankly. But for the most part, after they, came into contact with the material and read it, then their views began to change.
Utilizing the storytelling devices of their African literary ancestors, Ahmed and Jackson have created a unique style of poetry, fusing conga drums with audience interaction. Their poetry deals with contemporary themes, ranging from Jackson's selection on the LA riots to Michael Jackson and Ahmed's poem, Man in the Mirror. Back to Africa with a White Woman, Jackson says, transforms problems plaguing the African-American community into probable solutions, thus demanding progressive change.
We call for African-Americans to take an internal look in themselves, and a lot of times, when you do that, it's very hard to look at self, and once you find self calls for change, because a lot of times you don't like what you see. So people resist. People resist truth. People resist African-American males taking a basic call for pride.
Both poets are taking the poetry to a higher level by bringing it to the community and encouraging young people to write. At a time when the media is saturated with negative depictions of African-American males, Ahmed and Jackson are two voices rising above these negative male images.
Yeah, say cheese, baby, and smile for the camera.
If the overwhelming popularity of their now sold-out book is any indication, more continued success awaits them.
Support black poetry. Thank you.
Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Angela Johnson.
You're on a date. The lights are low, the music romantic. He leans over and whispers, "Honey, can you sign this?" Sounds unromantic. Not according to the National Center for Men. The group, whose newsletter reaches about 2,000 men, distributes a consensual sex contract on campuses and elsewhere. Group officials say the contract protects men of being wrongly accused of rape. The contracts are complete with all the therefores and whereofs necessary to make it a legal contract, plus specifics on sexual intentions, monogamy, and pregnancy. And now returning to entertainment with Meredith McGinn. Meredith, I hear that Temple's theater program is starting up once again.
It's really a great night out, inexpensive, and fun to see. But first, the campus that gave birth to the free speech movement is embroiled in another First Amendment issue, freedom of song. The University of California, Berkeley administrator has filed a complaint against campus crooner Rick Starr. He claims the stress of Starr's daily serenades is causing him to lose sleep at night. But Starr isn't singing the blues. He hopes that the increased publicity will land him a nightclub gig. Should he be convicted, though, the misdemeanor carries a possible 90-day sentence or a $400 fine. Villanova Theater is producing a festival of new plays written by alumni from the university. The series is entitled Nova and is designed to celebrate the university's 150th anniversary. The season's first production is Compassionate Leave, written by Patrick McDade. Ticket prices range from $12 to $15, and the play is running now through November 1st. Temple University's fall theater production is also underway. It's an intense play set in the rainforests of Mexico. Fred Shahadi has more.
Temple's theater can best be described as the university's best-kept secret. The department, which is called one of the best in the country, is known for producing new playwrights' work, as well as East Coast premieres of such plays as last semester's The Ramp. This semester, however, the play is being produced by a very well-known playwright, Tennessee Williams. The play is called Night of the Iguana.
Tennessee Williams wrote a great deal in all of his work about people needing other people in order to survive.
It has a lot of religious undertones and it has a lot of sexual undertones, and I think the main point of the play is trying to come to terms with the fact that both of those are in every human being.
Jan Silverman, an associate professor in the Department of Theater and director of Night of the Iguana, has worked months to produce this playwright's vision.
It's a very complex play, and I don't think it really boils down to a simple message. I think it's something they've got to experience.
Night of the Iguana deals with many deep concepts. As with all Tennessee Williams productions, it promises to be not only entertaining, but also moving.
I think that there is something about every single character in this play that someone else can relate to. And it's very honest. It's beautiful.
A wonderful kickoff because it's a terrific play, and it gives our actors a real opportunity to show really how good they are and what they can do.
Tennessee Williams' Night of the Iguana kicks off the fantastic fall theater season here at Temple, and hopefully it will follow in the tradition of the quality performing that the theater community has come to expect from Temple University. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Fred Shahadi.
In just 9 years, the compact disc has all but retired the record album, and now it's setting its sights on the cassette. Industry officials predict that by 1995, CDs will account for over 85% of the worldwide sale of music recordings. As for now, the cassette format is still king. This year, cassettes slightly outsold CDs by a mere 25 million. Now back to news.
That's really interesting, Meredith.
You know, I think I still have 8 tracks at home.
8 tracks? I know I still listen to records.
Thanks, Meredith. Don't be surprised if you discover a lot of Christopher Columbus on your doorstep this Halloween. Christopher Columbus costumes, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, are shaping this year's Halloween trends. The usual mainstays, such as Elvis Presley, Scarlett O'Hara, and other characters, are also going to be popular this year. Well, that's it for this edition of Temple Update. For Monica Trainer and the rest of the Update crew, I'm Gazelle Afshari. Thanks for watching.
See you next.